Hello, everyone. Welcome. All right, we'll be starting really soon in about, let's give it a couple minutes.
So everyone that's currently attending in the chat box, just while we all waiting for more attendees, please put in the city that you're from at the moment, so we get a refresher for us.
Yes, so please, in the chat box, take this time, let us know your name and what city you come from, and even what grade you're in. That would be great to know. Let's see. All right, Miguel, can you give me the time? I can't see it on my screen right here.
That's 102.
1:02. Okay, great. So we'll go ahead and get started really soon. And I just want to let everyone know that no matter how you're joining us, if you're joining through the computer, if you're not able to use your camera, you're on your phone, that's totally fine. There's going to be several opportunities to participate, and your input is really valued. So even if that means taking yourself off the mute button, that'd be great. Or feel free to just answer in the chat or participate through the polls. But definitely your participation is very, very needed. All right, so let's go ahead and get started today. Let's see. All right, so today is session 5 of the program of the MAT Stigma Reduction or Mobilizing in Youth Action Program. So today's focus is we're going to really be recapping on the previous session. So we're going to do a brief recap, but then we're also going to talk about the resolution, the final goal of what we're really working towards. So I'll go ahead and introduce myself. My name is Talene. I'm an outreach specialist, and I work with Reach Out in the Inland Health Professions Coalition Department. With me today is Miguel and Ken. And Miguel, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself.
So yeah, outreach specialist for the Inland Health Profession Coalition, and today we're working on the logistic part of the webinar.
And hi everyone, my name is Ken. I was your former facilitator in the last couple sessions. I'm here to kind of support Talene and Miguel and the next sessions moving forward. And I'll be here as a resource throughout the entire process, but this will be led by my two fabulous colleagues here. And I see in the questions box, we have a bunch of the intros as well.
Perfect. Let's check those out really quick. All right. Well, Miguel, do you want to go over some of the introductions really fast on who's here with us?
Yes, but currently I'm having a little issue looking at all the comments at the moment.
Okay. No
I
worries.
have them here. Yeah, I can open it for you. Yeah. So we have Steven coming in 10th grade and lives in Riverside. Welcome, Steven.
Welcome.
We have Irene from Corona, just graduated as a high school senior.
Wow, congratulations.
Congratulations, class of 2020. And we have Micah, 15, from Riverside, going into their junior year. Oh, that was a tough one for me. I remember that. We have Samantha, a junior and also from Riverside. And then we have Sean, who lives in Fontana, going into their senior year of high school. Welcome, Sean.
Perfect. Thank you, guys. I love seeing those introductions. All right, so let's go ahead and get started today. All right, so what will we cover today? So today is going to be a recap of sessions 1 through 4. So we're going to talk about public health, the program we're in, substance and opioid abuse among youth in California, youth advocacy, and little hint, that's what you're doing actually in this program. So social determinants of health, who are the stakeholders, and also what is a resolution? So you guys have had a ton of, I think, 4 sessions so far. So with these topics, I know you're pretty knowledgeable. However, I want to recap them so that we can really apply those skills to that final resolution document. All right, so we're first going to start with what is public health. And at any minute, if you guys would like to jump in, please feel free to unmute yourself or comment in the chat. So first, we're going to open up with a poll. And your first question is, how would you describe public health? And just give me your best answer. There's 3 answers right here. So we're gonna do like about 15 seconds just to answer this poll, and we'll see what you guys think. So Miguel, if you wanna go ahead and pull up that poll now.
Of course. Cool.
Okay, I see you guys are answering over here. So how would you describe public health? I'm loving the answers. You guys are doing really well. All right, we're missing 1 or 2 more votes if you just want to put those in. All right, we'll give it about 10 more seconds here. How would you describe public health? Perfect. All right, Miguel, we can go ahead and close the poll. Are you able to show the results?
It should let me.
All right, well,
yes.
While you're working to do that, I'll go ahead and let you guys know that 75% of you guys believe that public health is the science of protecting and improving the health of people and their communities. 25% of you answered number B, and 38% answered number C. Now, I know all of these answers really seemed right because the answer is all of these answers are correct. You know, like the first one is the definition provided by the CDC, Centers for Disease Control. Second answer is provided by the World Health Organization. And the third one is provided by the American Public Health Association. So the really cool thing about public health is we take so many different approaches, but our overall goal is to really improve the health of communities. So that is always our overall goal, and I'm not sure what's going on here. There it is. So yes, so if you answered number A, you're correct. B, correct. C, correct. The overall goal for public health is that we are trying to really improve the health and safety of our communities. So great job, you guys, so far. So let's explain public health in a graph. And when you're looking at this graph, at first you see a bunch of lines, right? But what we can really see from this is public health is our goal. So we have this issue we're trying to target, and we usually have an organization that's really addressing that issue. So for us, we're focusing on substance abuse, right? So in order to really tackle this issue and really make a difference in our communities, we're going to have to bring in the EMS agencies, right, to prepare for situations where there's like overdoses. But we're also going to need to let our police departments know. And then we'll need to let our mental health agencies know. And maybe we also need to involve faith organizations as well. So in order to really make a public health issue work, we're bringing in all these different people, these different organizations. And that's how we work towards this goal. So how I would describe it is it's a bunch of different organizations from different departments, all working together towards a common goal. And if you notice, all of these different organizations, these are sometimes our stakeholders as well. And we'll review that a little more towards the end of this presentation. So types of health and social determinants. All right, guys, so I have another question for you. Can you name one form of health in the question or chat box? So a little hint, there's actually 6 forms of health. So in the questions, and I think Miguel's probably going to type in that question for you guys. If you guys could just write in there, what is one form of health that you know about? And this can be a form of health that you're just really interested in, and it's part of one's holistic health. Okay, great, you guys. So I'm seeing some answers right over here. First, I'm seeing Samantha. She said mental health. Most definitely, mental health is a form of health. You are correct. Physical health from Sean. Absolutely. Physical health is very important, but the interesting thing is that physical health oftentimes is connected to mental health. We have Hiren. She said mental health and physical health. Correct. Mental health, emotional health. You guys are all correct. I'm going to challenge you now. Let's see who can get this. What about the health that's related to school? What kind of health is that called? Take a minute to think about that one. There's another form of health. Environmental health, absolutely, that's a form, but there's a certain health that's related to school. And Grace, great job. Yes, educational health. Grace got it. Nice work. What about the health that's related to believing that in a higher being? Let's say that. This can involve religion. That's another form of health. Let's see if you guys can get that. Spiritual health. Awesome job. Spiritual health. You guys are on top of this. Great job. Thank you so much for participating. I'm going to go ahead and show you the answers, but you guys are actually all correct because you guys are like experts already in this. So this is a quick review for us. Very proud of everyone for paying attention. It shows me you are paying attention. All right. So we have social, emotional, physical, mental, spiritual, educational. So these are our 6 forms of health that all contribute to one's overall health. So in order to have emotional health, typically you need those 5 other forms to also be part of your health. So great job, you guys. Now our next one. What determines or influences our health? What determines or influences our health? So these are called our social determinants of health. And I am like clicking on here. So these are social determinants of health. And I'm actually going to go back really quick to the previous slide. So social determinants of health in the chat, you can let me know what you think social determinants of health are. So there are actually different forms, and basically, these are the different elements that determine our health. So it's pretty simple to the title of them. So we have our economic stability, our physical environment. And I remember as a group, we were talking about our physical environment. Do we feel safe when we go to school? Is there substance abuse taking place at the parks? That's our physical environment. Education. So do you guys think that our education can influence our health? If you guys, I'm really interested to know, do you guys think our education can influence our health? Feel free to drop that in the chat, yes or no, let me know. Our social context. So this involves social integration. Do we have supportive friends, or do we go to school and our friends kind of put us down? Right? So that social context can really influence our health, because if we have friends saying, hey, go to the gym, guess what? We're going to feel more motivated to go to the gym and work on that physical health. All right, so I see really quick that there are some comments and I want to talk about this. Yes, Sean says, yes, definitely. Irene says, yes. Well, you guys are absolutely correct. Education influences our health, and all of these determinants, if we're not paying attention to these, our health is going to be affected. So great job, you guys. So in recap, we talked about our 6 forms of health, and we also talked about those social determinants of health. I love the participation. Keep participating. It makes me so happy to see this. Okay, next slide. Investigating the root cause. So what is the root cause? And what I want you guys to think, and I really challenge you when you're in school, and when I was in freshman year of high school, I had to take a health course, and we'll talk about things like, we'll talk about health situations. What about opioid use disorder? So we have to figure out, what is the root cause of that? What's causing it? And I want you guys to look at this list right here, and in the chat, feel free to tell me, what do you think might be the cause of opioid use disorder among youth? Why do your friends use these drugs? I mean, they know they're illegal, but why do you think they use them? And you have a list here of possible root causes that can lead to this. So for example, chronic stress. When you're in school, and I know some of you are in those AP exams, right? And let's say you have a friend and they're very stressed out. It's chronic stress. Perhaps chronic stress can lead to that issue, which is abusing the drug. And then you have to think about, so if you found the cause, you found the root cause, and typically, you guys, you don't find that cause right away. You got to do some studies. You got to really work on that for a couple months. But then once you figure out that root cause, you say, okay, that leads to the issue. But then you have to wonder, what's the impact? How does this issue impact their family, their friends, themselves on an individual level? So this is just a really interesting way to recognize root cause analysis, figuring out what is that cause that leads to substance abuse, opioid abuse, and what's that impact. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to drop them in the chat or unmute yourself at any time. I really don't mind being interrupted. Go for it. Okay. So now that we briefly talked about root causes, we're going to get into a topic that's really, really important. This topic affects so many adolescents here, especially in California. So we're going to talk about this topic, and we're going to see what we think about it. And we're also going to look at the facts. So this topic, of course, is substance and opioid abuse disorders among California youth. Youth is anyone under the age of 18. All right, so we're going to look at the facts. So what percentage of California high school students reported using a vaping product within the last 30 days? And did you know that 17% of Californians said that they used that product within the last 30 days? That's 3% higher than the US national average. What about how many reported drinking alcohol for the first time before the age of 13? This is before the age of 13. That's really, really young. Can you believe that 18% reported that? This is 2% higher than the national average. In 2015, 21,000 adolescents used heroin in the past year. An estimated 5,000 were current heroin users. So it's another statistic, and then also, so 6,000 adolescents had heroin use disorder in 2014. That's pretty tough. And how are these students, how are these teenagers, how are they getting these drugs, right? They're illegal. Everyone knows they're illegal. So how are they getting these drugs? And our research has shown, and per our last conversation, that most of them receive these drugs, receive the alcohol from a friend or a relative for free. So they're receiving this from a friend or relative absolutely for free. So that's another issue that we could use that root cause analysis again, and we could say, why are family members giving these substances to the youth, right? So another point where we're gonna have to use that root cause and really figure that out. And I'm gonna wait just a quick let's give it 20, 30 seconds. And if you have any comments on this, please feel free to jump in and let me know.
Yeah, and this is Ken, everyone. I just wanted to add, remember that during our first couple sessions, we had talked about, I know a lot of the students here had talked about family issues, having a stressful or traumatic family life, having environments where maybe the adults in the household already were using, and that kind of gets pushed off into the next generation, right, of adolescents.
Yep, this was definitely, we talked about this in the previous session. So it's a very, very important information. Absolutely. All right, we're going to go to that next slide. I'm going to see. Okay. So medication-assisted treatment, MAT, and the MYA program. Now I know you guys have heard these acronyms a lot. You've heard us say MAT, you've heard us say the MYA program, and you're probably like, I didn't know what that was at first. And honestly, when I first joined the program, I didn't know either. And that's why this program is so amazing, is because we're learning this new form of treatment, and we're doing it through a youth advocacy project where you guys are the ones behind the solution. You guys are the one developing that resolution document that's really going to make that change. So all this information I am sharing with you, I want you guys to keep this in mind so that we can use this towards the final goal. Okay, so medication-assisted treatment. So what is MAT? And MAT is the use of FDA-approved medications in combination with counseling and behavioral therapies. So that's the definition, and I'm going to use this in simple words. So what MAT is it's this program where someone who's abusing opioids, or who is he's an alcoholic, drinking alcohol, and it's really affecting their daily life to where they're not living a healthy life. They join this MAT program, and they're able to use drugs such as methadone, I can't say that one, but the drugs are listed on the top of the screen. And instead of just being directly pulled off the drug and experiencing that relapse, right, or experiencing those harmful side effects like the pain and then feeling like they need to go back, what they've realized is, let's give them small doses of these drugs, just small doses, so that we can slowly take them off the drug. But in addition to that, we want to focus on that mental and emotional health and provide them with counseling and therapy. So instead of just saying, no, we're going to take you off that drug, you're going to have to deal with it, we have medical professionals who are saying, we're going to get you off that drug, but we're not just going to cut off your supply. We're going to monitor it, and we're going to make sure that you're not abusing it, but we're going to monitor it so you can slowly come off it. And we're also going to provide these therapies as well. So it's this program that to really help them just to recover. It's a recovery program. Now the MYA program, and I'm really curious to know how you guys thought about this program at first. You know, like, did you call it the Maya program, or was it MYA? But I'll tell you the answer. So the program you're in is called Mobilized Youth for Action. And the goal of this program is to empower you guys to become leaders so that you are advocating for medically assisted treatment, but you're also working to decrease that stigma so that you can go up to someone. Again, you have to be very careful on how you approach people. You know, you got to make sure it's a safe situation, but you can approach and you can say, hey, there's this new form of therapy and it's not bad. It's not bad. You know, getting recovery is good. So in doing so, you're decreasing that stigma. So in short, MYA, Mobilize Youth for Action, is to develop advocates and leaders. It's to decrease stigma revolving around the MAT treatment. And it's also so that you can link your peers to the resources and support so that they can continue to live a healthy life. Okay, so on this slide, I'm not going to spend too much time because we already talked about this really briefly, but these are the different drugs that are used to treat heroin, morphine, and codeine, oxycodone, all these types of addictions. These are the drugs that they use to treat these. Feel free to research these if you'd like to learn more information. Substance and alcohol abuse, there's also the drugs that are used to treat those dependence disorders. So our next part is recognizing the signs of substance abuse and opioid abuse disorder. All right, so what is substance abuse disorder? It's the recurrent use of alcohol and or drugs. It causes health problems that really impact your daily life. So I have a question for you guys. How do you think substance abuse can negatively impact a peer's life or endanger their community? So let me know in the chat. I know that's a little wordy, so really in short, what it says is, how do you think that substance abuse can really affect someone's life? How can it affect their family member's life? So feel free to let us know in the chat. These can be short responses, they can be whatever you'd like. If you would like to unmute yourself, we'd love to hear from you as well. Okay, so feel free to answer that question. Let's see.
So Tolene,
Okay.
I will say that it makes you as far as schooling is concerned, right? It limits the opportunities that you can get yourself involved with. It limits your functioning. I know a lot of the people on the line play sports, and a lot of our participants play instruments, so that can definitely impair your judgment with those type of activities.
Absolutely, most definitely. And we have some responses down here. So Irene says, it makes them only focus on the drug since they're addicted and causes them to abandon other parts of their family. Yes, when you're only focused on that drug, how likely are you to go and apply for a job, to do volunteer work, to put in those extra hours to study for your SAT exam? Most definitely. Micah said, I see your answers. The pop quiz questions are going to pop up right now. Give me 1 second. So as Miguel is pulling up those pop quiz questions, we're going to look. Grace also says that substance abuse can increase the risk for heart disease and cause further addiction. Yes, you are definitely correct on that one. And I can't say it enough. Like, substance abuse leads to other chronic health conditions, most definitely. And it can lead into other addictions because let's say someone starts with marijuana and they really like that feeling, then it starts to gateway into those opioids. And that's when it gets even more dangerous than it already is. So great point. All right. Now the poll questions. So the poll right now, if you are prescribed a drug, is it considered substance abuse if you're prescribed the drug? And I'll give you guys 10 more seconds to figure out or to submit your answer to that one. All right, and done. Okay, so 100% of you said no, you're correct. If a drug is prescribed and you're using it accordingly to what the doctor says, it is not abuse. So, but if you were to give that drug to someone else and it wasn't prescribed to them, then it is. Are heroin and fentanyl the most abused drugs today? I believe Jesus, during his seminar, he gave you the guys the answer to that one. So let me know what you think. Are heroin and fentanyl the most abused drugs today? No Googling. All right, you guys, I'm gonna give you 10 more seconds to answer that one. Okay. All right, you guys, yes, 100% of you said yes. Heroin and fentanyl are the most abused drugs today. They are like the most dangerous as well. And remember, a lot of the youth in that statistic, they're using heroin. So that's very alarming. That's very concerning as well. Last question. Is substance abuse a chronic health condition? You guys are very smart. Let's see if you guys get this one. If you guys get 100%, I'm going to be beyond amazed if you get the answer to this one. I'm going to give you guys, let's do 15 seconds. 15 seconds. So is substance abuse a chronic health condition? Does it occur over a long period of time? And we'll stop right there. All right. 86% of you said yes, it is. And yes, that is the correct answer. Substance abuse is a chronic health condition. And it occurs over a long period of time that can lead to other poor health outcomes. So that is the correct answer for that one is yes. Great job, you guys. Great participation. And any questions, the chat box is always open to you guys. All right, I'm going to go on to the next slide now. So the general signs of, so SUD refers to substance abuse disorder, and the other one is opioid use disorder. So those are some acronyms that you might see a lot, and now you know. So if you're ever writing a paper for school about this, you can use these acronyms. So some general signs. All right, guys, so let's say you have a classmate and they're really struggling at school. They're no longer interested in going to the after-school football games, and their grades, in middle school, they used to be a straight A student, but all of a sudden their grades are declining. This is a little trigger. It's a red flag, so this could be a general sign. Then you have another friend, and they come into your history class, and you notice that their appearance is really different, and they're starting to wear inappropriate clothes, and they're not washing their clothes, and they have lack of interest in grooming. So let's say we have the student, and they always come to school looking polished and clean, but all of a sudden that physical appearance is a little different. Well, that's a general sign right there. And I want to know, I'm saying general because not always will someone appear demonstrating these signs and it means that they're abusing drugs. These are general signs that we typically see. Next one. So they have altered behavior. So they come home and they used to always leave that door open, but now they're like, Mom, I want to lock my door. And I want my door locked all day long. Well, this is another general sign. Drastic change in relationships. You know, you have this person and let's say they're on the football team and they always like to be with their football players because, you know, at lunchtime, all the football players usually sit together, but all of a sudden this person says, no, I don't want to sit by my friend. I want to stay away. And they start to pull away from those friendships. They start to distance themselves from their family. And they stop really having those strong relationships that they used to value so much. That's a sign. They're defensive. You bring up substance abuse and they get really defensive about that topic. And you have to explain, I'm not insulting you, but they're really defensive. So defensiveness is also a sign. And they're spending more money than usual or requesting to borrow money. So this is another sign, you know, as teenagers, I remember $5 a week. You guys might laugh at this, but $5 a week, that could be Del Taco for the week, you know? Like that was enough money to get through the week. But all of a sudden you have someone who is saying, hey, I need like $200 a week, or I need a lot more money. And when you ask them why, they might get defensive. That's a general sign right there. So these are general signs to look out for. And, you know, again, like might not always mean that they're abusing drugs or substances, but this is general. And I did see a question come up. Yeah, Sabrina, go for it. Let me know if I need to unmute you or if you're able to do so yourself. Let's see, Miguel, could you help me out with unmuting Sabrina?
Yeah, I believe Sabrina's on the web, and since you did not download the Welcome to webinar. I believe that's why he cannot speak.
Okay. All right,
So
Sabrina.
if you're unable to speak on the microphone, go ahead and use type your question to the chat, please.
Yes, please. So I'm gonna give so Sabrina, we're gonna give you some time to write that question out. And if you don't feel comfortable writing the question, we can always follow up after the meeting as well. But I'd love to see your question. And in the meantime, if you guys have any thoughts about these general signs, I would love to also hear from you. Is someone unmuted right now? All right, so Sabrina, I'm gonna stay on the lookout for your question, but I'm gonna move to the next slide. But as soon as I see your question, I'm gonna pause and we'll discuss. Okay, so the next slide that I want to talk to you guys is about the cycle of addiction. So what does addiction look like, and why is it so hard for people to break the cycle? And typically what it starts with is something causes them to use the drug, and then they eventually use it, and they kind of get into the cycle where it leads into active using, and they might hit this point where like, oh, I want to get out of it, but then they continue in the cycle. So this is pretty much a general diagram of what that cycle looks like. And I want to bring up Demi Lovato. So why is it so important to break this cycle for people? And this is where I want to show you guys a real life example. So we have this beautiful young lady, and she has openly said how she uses drugs and how she wants to recover. She really wants to recover. And why is it so important for her to recover? And we have to think about the impact that it might have when someone's using these drugs. You know, like she has a very supportive, or we don't know if she's supportive, but we know she has a family. She has a family that loves her, and they want to see their daughter recover. They have a bright future ahead of them, and it's as youth, as advocates of this program, we can really work to make sure that people who are abusing drugs have that opportunity to live that bright future. That's through this program, you guys are going to make an impact and make sure that people have the opportunity to reach those 6 forms of health. So that's why it's really important for us to address the cycle of addiction and see how we can break that cycle. And we're proposing through the MAP program, we might be able to break that cycle. So I think it's definitely something we can look into.
Colleen, I think we had a response from Sabrina. We can kind of tie that in. And she asked, do young people drink for fun?
For a reason.
Yeah, for a reason.
Ken, I know you have a stronger expertise in this topic. Do you want to go for that, answer that one?
Yeah, and I kind of wanted to tie it into Demi. So yeah, I think a lot of the times we go into situations perhaps unaware of the surroundings, right? So for instance, I know I followed Demi Lovato. I watched her YouTube documentary, and I watched the addiction issue, and in that specific case, they are young, adolescent going into adulthood in front of the camera, right? A Disney star and going into all those type of things. And I think people do have a reason to maybe stress, or people have a reason that they want to fit in. Peer pressure, I think, is going to be the number one thing for all of you on the line, right? As you enter, you're in middle school and then you go into high school, and you'll see that the older kids, right, may be engaging in behaviors that are unfamiliar. It's a new territory, and there may be some sort of kind of popularity game, or if you try it, you're cool, or if you put it on your Instagram story, you're cool, or if you bring your vape to school, you're cool, And I think a lot of people, we just don't have the vocabulary, the understanding of the lasting effects. But I think being part of this group, learning about these things, you have so much more power than you realize. You're kind of going into it with so much more strength now into school. When you start your school year up again, and you do, however the school setting or classroom settings will look, you'll be able to pass this knowledge and pass this information to your friends, and look out for these things. Look out for the cues, look out for the signs, and know that you actually have an understanding a little bit of it, and you can pass those resources and pass those things. So I think people drink or use substances for a lot of different reasons. They can have personal reasons, they want to have fun or let loose. It's just that everyone experiences a different aftermath, right, of doing those substances. Some stop, some do it for one time and they don't like it, and some people continue it because it allows them to escape. So I think it's Sabrina, your question is there's not one answer for it. It's different for everybody.
Hmm. Thank you, Ken. That was perfect. And Sabrina, if you have any comment to that answer, please feel free to share. So Ken is correct. Will people drink for fun? Maybe they drink to look cool, or maybe they are drinking to cope, right? So there's different reasons why people drink. So yeah, there'll be situations where people do it for fun, but is that okay? It's not okay. If you're under the age of 21, no. So excellent question. Thank you for asking that, and thank you, Ken, for answering that question. And I see that there's a comment right here. Okay, so Sabrina, you said why? What exactly are you referring to there? All right, so I'm gonna wait. Keep on replying, and we're gonna go to that next slide. But as soon as that answer comes in, we'll answer that one as well. Thank you so much for participating. I love it, you guys. Keep it up. And we're getting towards the end here, I promise. So just hang with me. We're almost there. So did you know that substance abuse disorder is a chronic disease like diabetes? So our lifestyle habits, they influence our health outcomes. So breaking the habit is essential for recovery, right? For both. And when I say health outcome refers to the final topic that we're looking at. So if we're looking at substance abuse disorder and how it relates to depression would be our health outcome. So my next question for you guys is, what do you believe prevents people from going to the doctor? What do you think prevents people from receiving help? So please let me know in the chat. So as you're answering that question, what do you believe prevents people from receiving help? I'm gonna go ahead and answer Sabrina's question. And yes, Sabrina, I see. So you wanna know, why do people drink in the first place? Besides trying to look cool. So those are looking at those root causes. I love it. Great question. So why do people drink in the first place? So if we look at the root causes, we might see maybe they're drinking because they have a mental health condition, right? So if they're just experiencing these pains inside, their mental health is struggling, they might drink to cope. But in high school, what we might see is that someone might, let's see, I'm trying to think of a really relevant example on why. So why might they drink in high school? So in high school, someone might drink because they feel overwhelmed. That might be a reason right there. So as I'm brainstorming exact examples, Ken, do you have any examples on why someone might drink in high school besides to be cool?
Yeah, and I think remember those root causes, remember the elements of health, right? So as you move through life as from an adolescent to adulthood, your health is always going to shift, right? So what may have started at the beginning of ninth grade, where you had a support system, maybe you went from eighth grade to ninth grade, right? And for those who are on the line, maybe can speak to this, is that your friend group changes, right? So you go from middle school to high school, and maybe people are taking different extracurricular activities. Maybe there's different people have changed their habits, right? People have started engaging in new things, and you start to see a shift. You start to see a shift in people's personalities. Maybe some adolescents have issues at home. Maybe there's parental divorce. Divorce causes a lot of stress among adolescents. Maybe there is illness in the family, right? A lot of our mothers and fathers, they also have their own problems and their own health issues in the family. Especially now with COVID-19, there's a lot of financial issues that are happening, right? People are losing their jobs. People are having to not socialize right now. So there's so many issues, and you have to remember, as you move, as you age, your life is always going to shift and change. So I think it's like I mentioned, it's always going to be different for everyone. And I know Micah had commented here that people usually don't get help because they don't want to or they don't know how. And I think
Mhm.
that's another thing. People just don't know how to cope. People may try a substance, they just don't understand. They don't have the vocabulary, or they didn't go through this training. They didn't go through the MYA training, right? To learn about these words and this and how to describe a root cause, you know, because if you go out in the public and you're just like, that's a root cause, and I'm noticing that that's something from the 6 pillars of health. Not everyone has that, you know, privilege to understand that. So just understand how amazing it is just to be here in your presence, to be able for you to learn these concepts so you can pass it to someone else, so you can actually explain to them, you know, maybe this is the reason. Maybe we don't have one reason and we can have one answer. Maybe it's just a matter of giving them information and they start exploring and they
Mhm.
start trying to figure out on their own what is the issue that created them to drink in the first place. So if that's helpful, yeah, I just wanted to add that.
Yeah, I hope that helps, Sabrina, all that information right there. If you have any questions, let us know, or if you need more information. So I'm gonna talk about the question that I posed for you guys on what prevents people from getting the treatment. And we have Irene, she said, they are afraid of judgment. And I commented back to her and I said, yes, you're absolutely right. That brings up the concept of stigma. So people are sometimes scared to go into these treatment facilities because they don't want to be judged, or when they're walking in, they don't want people to know why they're walking in. So definitely fear of judgment. Grace said financial problems may prevent people, and to you, I said, exactly. That's a really good point. And finances are actually a social determinant of health, to where if someone believes that they cannot afford to receive help, they're probably not going to go in and get the services. So yes, finances may prevent someone. So maybe we should, when we're talking to our peers about getting help, maybe we should do some research and see what are some options for finances. How can they pay for this? Maybe that's some research we can do on our end as well. Let's see. Micah said people usually don't want to get help because either they don't want to, or they don't know how, or they're afraid. Yes. Sometimes you might meet someone who they drink, they're under the age of 21, but they drink, but perhaps they don't really see it as a problem. Maybe in their family that's okay, you know, they don't see it as a problem, and therefore they don't want to go get help. Another situation we can bring up is they're afraid to get help. Maybe someone says, okay, this is bad, like I'm in a bad situation right now, but I'm afraid to reach out because I'm scared. Like, are my parents going to find out? Is my teacher going to find out? And when I get to that facility, are they going to judge me? And that being afraid and that judgment, that's that concept of stigma. And again, a goal of this program is so that you guys can become advocates to decrease that stigma. So very good point, everyone. All right, so I think I covered all of your answers to that question. Just let me know if more questions come up or answers come up. All right, so now I'm going to go on to that next slide. So do you think that substance abuse and opioid abuse can result in harm to others? What do you guys think? Do you think that by one person using a drug, it can harm others? So that's another question. Just let me know in the chat. You can give me an answer like yes, and this is why, or you just give me a one-worded answer, a yes or no. So just let me know in the chat. Does substance abuse and opioid abuse result in harm to others?
We like to do lots of poll as well.
Yeah, you could do a poll as well. Yeah. Sabrina said, yeah, of course it does. Most definitely. It can harm others. Irene said, yes, because it can influence other people to use it. Oh, that's a really good point right there. Yeah, like if someone's using a drug, that can be peer influence to encourage another person. So that can definitely lead to an effect where it's harming others. So wonderful answers, you guys. All right, and I think Miguel opened that up as a poll as well, so you guys can answer in that poll. Mental health. Oh wait, sorry, I'm reading the old answers. Sean, yes, because using substances can cause someone to make decisions that can harm others. Yeah, and he gave us a great example. He said drunk driving. So by one person abusing a substance, their vision is impaired, their thought process is impaired. That can harm our community big time. Micah said, yes, think of secondhand smoke, or when someone's on the drugs and they're not in the right state of mind. Yeah, so secondhand smoke is an example. If someone's using the drugs and let's say that drug makes them act as just really angry and stuff, that can definitely impact someone. And honestly, you guys, I can relate this to personal experience as well, where I've seen this. I've seen this firsthand, how if someone's using that drug and not thinking clearly, how that can affect people. So thank you for sharing that, Micah. All right, guys. So we'll go ahead and we'll move on to that next slide. And if there are any comments in the chat asking us to reach out afterwards, we will definitely do so. I really appreciate all of your guys' participation, and we're going to move on to this next slide. So we're going to review the policy process. And as I promised, we are almost through this presentation. Just got to hang in there, guys. All right, so the policy process. One of our past presentations introduced this to you guys. And I want to say that you guys are in the advocacy portion. You are in this program that's focusing on the advocacy. So this is where you are. And after that, after advocacy comes implementation, and then we evaluate it to make sure that we're using the right programs, the right strategies. And an evaluation can be, you know how we're promoting the MAT program for recovery? Well, after we see that more people are using this program, maybe we want to see, is it effective, or should we use a different approach based on evidence? All right, so Jesus introduced the power analysis of stakeholders, and I want to go ahead and I want to throw in some real examples on what this may look like. So let's say we present this resolution, and in this resolution, we want to encourage more MAP facilities to be present. So a big stakeholder for San Bernardino County may be the Department of Behavioral Health. And then we have to ask ourselves, well, why are they interested? How does this benefit them? And they say, well, we actually have this grant that we need to implement. So they're saying it's kind of because of funding. And then we say, well, what is their motivation for changing the issue? And then they're able to say, well, we can use this data to support our programs. Same thing with like if you have is a school district a stakeholder? And it depends on the situation. So if we want to implement a advocacy program at your school, they would probably be a stakeholder. And we would ask ourselves the same question: why are they interested? What is their motivation? What outcome would they like to see? And what type of leader are they? Like, are they someone who's gonna support, like really push this to the next level to where we can present at city halls or something? Or are they someone who can bring in new ideas? So this is our policy process continued to where we're looking at who are stakeholders and how they may benefit us. Okay. And then now I'll go on to this next slide. Give me 1 second. Okay, and then this is another analysis that you guys will have to kind of consider as well. And it's where you have your different stakeholders, and then you kind of evaluate what is their stance on current policies. Are they going to support the health education option, or will they support having more recovery centers? Or are they going to support us implementing this MAP program at all the hospitals? So after we identify who our strong stakeholders are, we want to really look at what option are they going to favor? Because once we identify the option that they're more likely to favor, we can most likely say, okay, maybe we want to pilot that option first. So this is how we identify our stakeholders, and then we figure out how we want to carry out this program in order to have that support from our stakeholders. And if you guys have any questions on what a stakeholder is, just let me know in the chat, because I know we reviewed this before, so I don't want to take too much time if you guys already know this information. But basically, stakeholders are people who have a really large influence in the outcome of our program. They're very important in this program, and we want them to be involved. Okay, and let's see if I have any webinar. Okay, will the webinar shut down once it hits 0? You know, I'm not too sure. Miguel, do you know if this will? There's a question in the chat if you want to let us know.
Yes, that was actually my technical organizers.
Oh, actually, all right. So we'll follow up with that question later.
Yeah, I think if we should have it till 2:30 was the original time, so it should stay there. If not, at 2:15 we'll just have a warning. If anything happens, just know that we will follow up with you.
Yeah.
Via email.
Yes, and we're pretty much wrapping up our presentation. I think we have like a few more slides right now. All right, so what is our goal? Our goal is to increase that awareness, to decrease the stigma, and to see how we can connect people to the different facilities, or how we can connect people to medically assisted treatment. And how can we decrease stigma? So this is going to be one of our last questions, and this is one of our most important questions. And we might not have the opportunity to review all of them. So I want you guys to really think about this. How can we decrease stigma? And feel free just to drop those in the chat and let us know. I have some examples out here. Perhaps we can show that the outside facility is clean and that there's not a long line, so you don't have to wait too long to go in. Or we can decrease stigma by saying how many people are serviced. But maybe we can also change how people think about substance abuse disorder and recovery. Maybe we can consider doing presentations inside classrooms and really showing them, you know, like there's no need to be embarrassed or to fear judgment, because this is why we can use education. Okay, so let me know, you guys, how you think that we can decrease stigma. And I know this thought might take some time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this question open to where you guys can, you know, take the rest of this presentation to drop in your answer right there and let us know. So how do you think we can decrease stigma? Alrighty. So what is our goal? So our final goal of this program is to create a stigma resolution document. Now, this document is not a legal binding document. It is pretty much something that says this group believes in blank and blank. It's saying what you guys believe in and what you guys think should be done. So that is our goal. And it's pretty cool because since you guys are all in high school right now, by the time you graduate and you apply to colleges or jobs and they say, what is something that you're really proud of? And you could say, well, I was part of an advocacy program and I assisted in creating a stigma resolution document. That is cool. That's really cool. And you're making a lifelong impact. So what is your role? We will provide you with a template and you'll be responsible to provide creative solutions. So we'll give you a template and you'll just provide us with some solutions you have in mind. This will be brought up at our next presentation. Like all this information, this will be in our next seminar. So don't worry about taking notes right now. There is no right or wrong answer. And MAT facilitators, once you give us your solutions and your ideas, we're going to go ahead and edit and submit it to our local government. So we're going to take your ideas and we're going to be able to submit this to a local government. But believe me, you guys will receive the credit for this. This is all you guys, and all we're doing is we're submitting. But you guys are the ones creating this document. So the final goal
Colleen,
is to submit
I
that.
wanted to, I'm sorry to cut you off, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, go
But
for it.
I actually wanted to, before we moved on, to actually add an example for the adolescents and the students on the line. Remember when we had talked about Chamel Park in Riverside? That was one huge example that we talked about, that the park had a lot of individuals who were experiencing substance use disorder that were in the park throughout the day, and that there was a school that was right next to the park where the students could see kind of people around. So for instance, an example could be is that we create a document, which is called the resolution, and we present it to the city park officials. So the people who are in charge of that city park. And a great example could be that, we as the Mobilized Youth for Action program, our solution is to provide more education about substance use disorder, like Kyron just commented in the chat. That is a great way. So that is a solution that we can bring forth as the Mobilized Youth for Action group, saying that we as youth believe that education will help people on both sides to understand what the people in the park are experiencing, the people that are at the school, the teachers, the facilitators, and the parents, right? So providing education to the public, some sort of public education. Um, Grace had mentioned here, maybe to decrease stigma, we can have more people on social media become more knowledgeable and share the information. Yeah, exactly. So sharing information, we as the Mobilized Youth believe that sharing information online is another part of this. So just to kind of get your mind going about substance use disorder and funneling people to medication assisted treatment. So basically our goal is to figure out what are our solutions to get people to understand that this is not a weakness, that it's not a moral failing, that it's just something that a person experiences. They're human and they need help and they need assistance. And as youth, this is how we propose to help.
Exactly. Thank you, Ken. Thank you. If you guys have any questions to that, let us know. And we're still reading your comments and your ideas about solution ideas that you have to decrease stigma. So feel free to keep throwing in those ideas because we see them. We definitely see them. Okay. Is there homework? I really didn't want to put this slide in here because I didn't want to tell you guys there was homework, but there's a little homework. There's just a little bit of homework. So Miguel will be presenting your next session, session 6, and that's going to take place on Wednesday at 1 p.m. And in order for you guys to come prepared for that session, we would like you to research one local city council member or stakeholder that would influence this resolution document that we're thinking of. So what you can do is you can look up, search city council members in Riverside County. And you would click on that city council member and you would read their bio. And, look at their bio and kind of think, would they be someone who could influence this? Would they be a stakeholder? And we want you just to take note of that and go ahead and email that to me. And I'm the one who actually has been sending you the most recent emails. So just send me a quick email with your answer and we will take all of your answers and incorporate that into our next session. All right, so do we have any, Miguel, could you check if we have any questions or comments in the box yet, right now?
And I just wanted to add, it could be any stakeholder. So it doesn't necessarily have to be your city council member. If it could be a manager of a park, it could be the park and recreation director. It could be maybe even someone in your school, maybe someone at your school that's in the school district. So your superintendent, your principal, maybe there's a teacher on campus that you really learned a lot through health, and someone who maybe there was a program that is set up already in your school where they actually discuss substance use disorder. So that could be an adult figure that already has an in. So they're a stakeholder there, they can influence and help us, right? So just as much as we're educating everyone, we need your help to the people that you have access to. So maybe your uncle, maybe your aunts, maybe your neighbors work in some sort of city government, or they work at the school district, or they work at some sort of maybe a faith-based organization. Your church organization has something for youth and substance use. So just think really large and broad, all the people that you know, that your family knows, that your friends, neighborhood knows, and bring those to the session this week, because that will greatly, greatly help us get to the next step.
Mhm. Yes. All right, you guys. So just to recap, our session 6, if you have not already registered, that is going to be Wednesday at 1 p.m. and your facilitator will be Miguel. I will be joining in the audience with you guys. So I will be there supporting right there with you guys. In the chat, if we saw any comments that would like us to follow up privately afterwards, we will definitely follow up. So before I leave, before we wrap this completely up, because this is the last slide, I want to just see if there's any further questions. All right, nothing's popping up. So go ahead and send me a quick email if you have any questions, and we will go ahead and answer them. All right, everyone, that is it for today. Thank you so much for your time. And we'll see you on Wednesday.
We'll see you on Wednesday.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Thank you. And make sure to email if you have any questions.
Definitely email us.